but I believe that we are all from the same side. Let me also address a special thanks for the American Society for Simulation in Healthcare, to Julie Larson and also to Olivia, that we listened some seconds ago. Let me address also special thanks for the speakers and also for the attendees that makes the event great. I believe that during the coming 90 minutes, we will learn a lot. We will be talking about the challenges that the teachers faced yesterday, today, and also in the future, and also how simulation can help also schools to keep working with students in this specific learning format that we have, that is the distance learning format that we need to have right now. We already know that since the COVID-19 outbreak, the schools need to reinvent also their teaching methodologies. We already know this is not new. It starts from China and ends from the side of America, for example. And I believe that for the theoretical part, I believe that it was possible to implement very fast, because it was just only share some PowerPoints in the Zoom meetings and the Google meetings and so on, the theoretical part. But I believe that it was a very challenging time how to implement the strategy to make the distance learning education on life science areas also, but doing the practical classes online. It was and it is not easy, but we are here also to help everybody. Our speakers will share their experience using the virtual simulation during the outbreak, and they will also provide us insights about the future. At the end of the all presentations, we will answer the questions. We will ask you to put the questions that you would like to address to each participant or to the group, or also to us, in the chat box, please. And at the end of the presentation, of the 5 presentations that we will listen in the coming 90 minutes, we will address the questions to the audience. Please put the questions in the chat and we will address to each presenter. Later, I believe that we will have some time to present you a global impact study that illustrates how Body Interact is helping worldwide, and what is also the impact the Body Interact. Body Interact is now available in more than 55 countries all over the world. It is a global product, and we are also the leaders of the virtual patients. My colleague Maria is here near me, near us, and she will introduce the speakers that we have invited to this session. So please, Maria, go forward.
Thank you very much, Silverio. It is my pleasure to introduce our speakers in detail. We will start, and it's my honor to welcome Professor Roberto de Ponte, Professor of Cardiology at University of Insumbria in Italy, and also a member of the Society of Simulation in Healthcare. Following presentation, we will welcome Professor Ileana Escudero, Dean of the Faculty of Health and Dentistry of Diego Portales University in Chile, and also a board member of the Society for Simulation in Healthcare. As our third guest, we have Professor Pierre Luigi Ingratia, Associate Professor and Researcher at the University del Piemonte Orientale in Italy, and also very important to mention that is current Secretary of Society of Simulation in Europe and CESAM, and President-elect of the Italian Society of Medical Simulation as well. We would also have Dr. Sharia McDowell, Senior Program Manager in the Center for Multicultural and Community Affairs Division of the Office for Diversity and Inclusion at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, being part of Mount Sinai Health System in the US, that will also share the experience with distance learning. And last but not least, we have University from Georgia, represented by Professor Sagareshvili, Vice Dean in Medical Education at IETI Medical School of David Tbilisi Medical University in Georgia. Important to note as well that is executive board member of European Board of Medical Assessors, and professor will be joined as well by Professor Nino Gekko. I'm sorry for my accent, Portuguese accent, who is the clinical skills specialist at Medical Education Center of David Tbilisi Medical University in Georgia as well. So it is an enormous honor to welcome you all and to obviously have the pleasure to have you all in our virtual lab today. So I will now pass the word to Professor De Ponte.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for the introduction. I'm going to share my screen. Thank you for involving us in this nice symposium. I hope you can see my screen. I'm trying to put in the presentation mode.
We can.
And thank you also to SSH for endorsing this event. As you see here, I put a subtitle in the general title, which is Urgency, Novelty, and Satisfaction. And I'm going to explain these three words in the next 10 minutes or so. First of all, some preamble. I have no potential conflict of interest relevant to this presentation. Second, as you just mentioned, Maria, I'm a cardiologist with a subspecialty in electrophysiology. So I am a simulation enthusiast. But on the other hand, we have focused in the past only on specific task trainer, which means hybrid high fidelity simulator, focus on the methodology to teach some special and particular procedure in electrophysiology, in cardiovascular electrophysiology. We had some development of these simulators, and then we have done some evaluation of this simulator. But for the rest, I'm focused only on this kind of specific interest in simulation, not on general. Second preamble, you see here that Varese is in the north of Italy, close to the Swiss border. And if we enlarge the scale, you see here that is not very far from what was one of the epicenter of the pandemic, which started here in Italy and in Europe. So we were really in the red area, and the lockdown was really a severe lockdown. So based on this, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, in-hospital medical training was interrupted at the end of February 2020, and that was dramatic for the entire world. But then, due to specific legislation and regulation in Italy, I'm not going into the detail of that because I don't want to bore you. We had issues with the students regularly attending the last year of the course in medicine surgery, who had to complete their practical training before July and early September, when they were expected to graduate. Otherwise, if practical training was not completed before graduation, they could not apply for postgraduate residency in programs in late September 22nd, to be precise, and their career would have been delayed by at least 1 year. So in a worldwide pandemic situation, putting in a crisis entirely the medical community, but that was due to a specific regulation and legislation. We had adjunctive troubles. So as you see here, that was what explains the word urgency. Then come to the novelty. Of course, Body Interacts is not a novel platform. You know that very well. You can enter a website and you can use also the table, but what we used was the online version only, of course, and you can enter, you see a simulated scenario, you can interact with the patient, do a physical examination, collect an history, then ask for examination, then ask for some specific treatment. As you see here, the students which attended this kind of online course were relatively novice in this kind of simulation, because only like 23% of them had some previous generic experience in virtual reality. Half of them trained on the mannequin for BLSD certification, and 1/3 of them had only were completely novice. So also all the tutors had no previous experience in using this kind of platform, or in general any kind of virtual reality in this specific context. So the online modality was adopted, and 21 cases were selected from the body interact ontology. And I'm going to explain in this slide how we try to remodulate what was really done in the past in the world, in the hospital. So we had like 122 students, and they're split in groups of a maximum 20 people. So we had 2 different rounds of training performed from, the first round was performed from early May to early June, and the second round from the end of June to the end of July. So we used also another platform, which is Microsoft Teams, for interaction with the tutor. So each session which lasted 2 hours, and in which one single case was presented from the body interact ontology, was subdivided in 3 parts. First, we connect to the Microsoft Teams platforms, and so the tutor briefed a little bit the students, gave a presentation of the case, and then tried to guide them and to remind them of all the action that they had to do. Then they disconnect from the Microsoft Teams platform, and they enter the body interact platform to perform independent evaluation of the simulated case and give their performance. They were allowed to do that twice, lasting 20 minutes each attempt, and then they disconnected from the body interact platform, and they reconnect to the Microsoft Teams. There was a debriefing lasting like 1 hour with the tutor. They were asking questions. The tutor received at that time the evaluation of what the students had independently performed in the case. So we scheduled to have a feedback from these students. So we had prepared before a 12-item questionnaire, which was distributed to all students. And you see here, 95% of the students completed this questionnaire to investigate the perceived quality of this training modality. And you see here the percentage of the ratings that we have, starting from, for each question, for each of the main questions. As you see here, there was a stronger possibility of strongly agree, disagree, agree, or strongly agree. And then again, accordingly, you see here the corresponding average score from 1 to 3 to 4 to 3 to 4. So there was a scale from 1 to 4. And as you see here, what exceeds 3.0 is considered a very satisfactory response. Let me go through a little bit these numbers. And you see here, we have submitted today the revised version of this manuscript to BNC Medical Education, and we hope that will be accepted soon. So the question 3 evaluated the format in which the 3 parts in which the seminar, the practical training was subdivided, and you see that like 95% of these people were quite satisfied. Then the online assess, by the way, if you want to dichotomize the response between disagree and agree, negative and positive response, you see for the majority of this question, we had a very positive response. So the other question, question 4, evaluated the online assess, and that was less satisfactory than expected, but we can discuss that in the discussion section. Then question 5 investigated the selection of the case, if they were suitable, and you see the vast majority, almost all attendees said that was quite satisfaction. And then question 6 evaluated the time given to these people to complete the evaluation of the patient, again, satisfaction. And then question 7, 8, and 9 investigated if the scenario was considered realistic, so useful for training by the attendees. And you see that the general assessment, the examination they could ask for, and the decision making that they have to do was considered realistic by the vast majority of these people. Last but not least, question 11, would you recommend after COVID to use this platform? You see that the positive response account for 85% of the participants. So a couple of analysis of the remaining 2 questions. You see here concerning the expectation of the students. You see that in 92% of the students, this fully online training using the virtual reality and simulated patient, the body interact patient, met or was even superior to the expectation of the students, while only 8% it was less than expected. Then last but not least, you see here a very interesting point. While 84% of these people said that after the COVID-19 pandemic, they recommend a combination of traditional training and body interact training for the future generation of medical students. You see here that nobody recommend body interact as a standalone platform to train future generation of medical students, which means that they perceive very much the role, how useful was the role of the tutor in these sessions. Then just to conclude my time, in our experience, I would say we can discuss, of course, that more in detail during the discussion, but then with a little bit of enthusiasm, we can say that the urgency was addressed, the novelty was adopted, and we were satisfied, of course, of the positive reaction by the student. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Professor Roberto de Ponte, for such an amazing intervention, explaining, the way that you addressed exactly the urgency to overcome the situation with COVID and being so effective in your area. So I really appreciate, and I'm sure all the audience as well. And I will pass now the word to Professor Ileana Escudero from Chile. Thank you very much.
Hello, can you listen me well? It's okay.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for this invitation. Thank you for the Interact and for SSH, where I am part of the board. I am working too, like a member of the community of the patient safety. Okay. My disclosure about this presentation, I don't have conflict, and this work was developed with my teams. Was a nurse, Irela, Jesus midwives, and Jorge therapist. The objectives that I have about this presentation, first, sorry for my English, is an accent of Chilean language. So I'm going to present the project that was necessarily developed in my Department of Health and Dentistry in front of the pandemic COVID-19. Present academic proposal based on a deep reflection on the theme with evidence and collaborative work. Share our experience and integrate in simulation, virtual simulation, and new challenges that we have. Well, the context of my university in Chile, in Santiago, was founded in 1982. It's private, and we don't have an affiliate with an ideology or political or religion, and we work for a clear and sustainable public vocation. The number of students, principal are undergraduate, but we have 8 doctor programs, not yet in my department. And the faculty is a great number, it's a big university. And we have agreements with international university and organization. About my faculty, my department in Chile, the department has more school than one, like in the United States or Canada or in other countries. So I have 5 careers: nurses, midwives, therapists for physical and cardiorespiratory, technologies in 3 dimensions: clinical labs, radiology and physical medical, and optometrist, dentistry. And the career here have a 5-year duration, and dentistry 6. Is in general in all the country. So one thing is very important is that I don't have a sim lab in my department. So COVID was great for me because something one is I have simulation now. I am working in simulation around 20 years. So, but now in my university, I have 1 year working there. So one of my challenges before COVID has a sim center. Now I have it, and one of the part of the sim center, the new sim center, is a room with virtual and haptica and virtual simulation. Well, what happened? In March, in our region, the semester began in March. So when at Pierre, we asked what we are going to do, because the Minister of Health and the government canceled all the activities at the university and the schools until now. So it was necessary to make a change. So what we decide when a PR make opinion suggestion for the government, for the politicians, students, teachers, we decide and choose this. The statement that was in March 30 was launched about what the suggestion of these 2 organizations, and was for me very important to be a member of this board, to decide and make the changes, use simulation, virtual and standard patient, or all the methodologies that was necessary to integrate in our curriculum. So the university had to make many changes. Yeah, the students that are in the first year, until this moment, they can have the opportunity to know and visit the university. So the first things was the priority. Students have to continuous education. So was necessary to a platform and migrate all the activities to virtual teaching if we use Canvas. The university provide for that, for some students, resource, internet, laptop, tablet, or the resource for continuing in this methodology. We have to make many meeting discussions to take decisions, the best decision to continue. So we have to adjustment the curriculum with experts. We have to develop the project. If this is in simulation, was integrated interdisciplinary, because I have 5 schools, all of them are different with different experience in simulation. And so was the first things to create this project. Review the evidence and speak with experts too. Pam Jeffrey, an expert, she has a lot of experience before COVID in virtual simulation. So she shared with me different research to continue and participate in the Congress to improve the knowledge and the training. So specific in my department, we develop we made a committee with 5 people that are continuing working together. We have to make a training course with certification. I have to do it because they don't have experience. So we have to teach about the briefing and all the methodology to learn or to teach the students. We use standard patients, but the data is not about this because it was not new in Chile use standard patient. But software, Body Interact, was very new because all the software that we have are in English, but the student, they can understand, they don't like it, and the teacher don't use English. So software Body Interact appear in Spanish, was a very good solution for us. We select 24 cases for a month. The first semester a month. Now in the second semester, we are going to use another month. In 3 careers, we have to create tools and documents to explain, to train, to induction, the contract for confidentiality. So many things that was necessary used in general in simulation. We have to decide what are not technical skills we are going to work. Priority, leadership, make decision, and how to replace the other one and prepare the student. There is the session where by Zoom to train the students. Well, finally we use in midwives and therapists and nursing. The nursings, if you see, are the use it in the 5 years. In the internships is the last one course that the students are always in the clinical places, now are in virtual system. So the scenario, they use 4 in midwives, use 8 in therapists, and 8 in nursing. But the result was very good because the student in the survey that we developed for the student and the teacher, we asked in confidentiality form some questions that I want to share some data. The 33% of the surveys was answered, and in general the most number was in nursing because they was the most scenario activities. And other thing is important and curious is about the time of the dedication from the students for develop the one scenario. It's curious that around 10% they use 4 hours. The students are always using internet, laptop, so was necessary a long time for a group no small. The other data is about the achieve of the outcomes with the experience, and we are happy because the teachers are new and the students don't know and are resistant with this methodology at the beginning, but they are agree and they are happy with the methodology. And the other data is about how was the level that they do in the scenario. And the most agree that was very good the level that we choose. In relation to the data of the teacher, was interesting to see that most of the students don't like it used asynchronic form. The most need to use synchronic with the teacher besides the students. We gave the opportunity to use asynchronics, but only one career therapist use it. So it's interesting, this data, because the student not work alone. Other information is in relation to how to choose the Bloom taxonomy and the level of verb that they use in the debriefing. The teachers that are training, they use high-level verbs of Bloom, but the teacher that has less experience using in general the knowledge and not discuss make decision or leadership or priority things. The last data that I want to share with you is about what happened with the students that use informed asynchronic form. They made a performance very good in the synchronic with the teacher, but the problem was they lost some competencies that they had to do. For example, assess the mental status of the patients. They don't assess the patient. So that are things that we have to improve in the teaching activities theory or other activities. So in summarize, I invite you, I want to share that was a very, very good experience for us. We are so happy with this, and it's necessary make a collaborative network to improve. We have many new challenges that we have to continue using with this methodology. And don't forget to integrate patient safety and Celebration Week. Next week, I'm going to share this webpage of the SSI webpage. So thank you very much, and really I appreciate this. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Professor Ileana. Again, such an amazing experience that was just shared. And I'm fascinating to see how, what takes you and the challenges that you have when you have to decide how to overcome these situations. So I'm very, very pleased that you were able to find a solution to accommodate, even in your situation, so many academic degrees, because you, as you mentioned, you don't have only one, so you have a variety. So I'm very, very thankful for the opportunity to listen to your experience and for you to share your experience with your students. So thank you. I will pass now the word to and welcome Professor Pierre Luigi Ingratia from Italy. So thank you very much, Professor, once again for joining us. And I'm looking forward to hear from you also.
Thank you, Maria, for giving the word to me. And I also would like to thank the SSH for organizing this virtual meeting and the body interact and take the wind for facilitating this sharing of thought. So I will try to give you an overview of what was the experience that we did in our simulation center at the University of Eastern Piedmont, Piemonte Orientale, in the northern part of Italy. First of all, I have to express no conflict of interest. And I decide to, let's say, divide the next 10 minutes of this talk in three main topics. So I will try to give you an overview of what was the simulation activity in our sim center, having the medical school as a beneficiary, what we did during the lockdown and immediately after the reopen of the activities. And I would like to conclude sharing some thoughts and making some reflection of what we, let's say, gained from the experience from what we experienced. So the simulation center, SimNova Simulation Center, is quite a young sim center. We established the center in the end of 2014 at the University of Piemonte Orientale, and we let's say we worked with the faculty very closely to design a kind of sim curriculum, so a simulation curriculum. So we have been organizing different labs with different modalities of simulation for each single year of the 6 medical degree. So as I said, it's a combination of task trainer labs using different models, or since I guess a couple of years also we introduce what we call the virtual sim labs, including either the touch screen monitor softwares for training basic skills such as anatomy, or having what we like to call the virtual patient round, using virtual patients in body interact in this specific case. But all these activity again are, let's say, on site at the center. So the students are grouped in 6 people and with the tutor, and normally they share the case. They discuss the cases with the tutor. We also have computerized simulation, bench models lab using wet animal pieces, or sim patient, simulated patient, or even role games for the non-technical skills, and of course high fidelity human patient labs. But I say that the main, and of course the on-site debriefing that conclude almost any simulation activities. Anyway, all the labs and the training that we have been used to deliver, in a way, they need a physical presence of the students and the tutor. So what occurred during the pandemic emergency? So at the beginning of March, the lockdown started in Italy. Already Professor De Ponte have anticipated that the teaching activity actually was suspended even a couple of weeks before. And that meant that all the university facility were closed in a way, so were become empty and not usable anymore. So all the curriculum that we designed, so we were unable to deliver all the curriculum that we designed for the students at any level. It's in terms of a practical session, excluding the internship in the clinical setting. So we did almost what any university did. So we converted all the, the face-to-face training in video lectures, using actually different platforms, not only one. So this was a decision of the university. And in terms of the practical activity and the training, actually we decided after several meetings with the faculty and the board of the faculty to focus all our efforts to 2 main group of students: the 6 years student, due to the reason that already Professor De Ponte very well explained in his talk, so they cannot graduate unless they have completed a certain number of training, of practical training. And the 3rd year students also, because they had some practical curriculum mandatory in their plan of study. So what we did actually was to design a virtual or at distance curriculum that included different training options, so different virtual simulators, with, of course, different characteristics and with different training objectives. So those simulators included body interact and other solutions. Some of them also available in, able to being used by pads or mobile phone. And also we decided to get, also simulated patient, but at the distance. And I will give you an overview very briefly. So one of the main challenge I would like to share with you was not only to, was mainly to convince our faculty members, well, to inform the faculty members about how this simulator works and how they could apply those simulator in their training offer. So this was the main challenge, also because every meeting was done at distance, because all the faculty was, let's say, in his or her own. Novara has Varese is very close to Milan. We are 40 minutes far from Milan, and also Novara was included in the red zone as soon as the emergency became big. So one of our main option was the use of body interact for one simple reason. At least the faculty was already used and familiar with the system. So for them, it was quite easy to convert in the at distance options. And actually, we selected two different types of scenarios. The COVID one, so the COVID-19 scenarios that was delivered quite immediately soon, the beginning of the emergency, and those scenarios were used for the 6-year student group. And also we selected other cases from the general database of Interact, and we offer it either to the 3rd and the 6th-year students. One of the, I guess, the facilities that were appreciated the most, especially from the faculty, and because we were not used to look at this in the previous year, was the evaluation, the feedback system, so the student tracking system. Why it wasn't used? Because, as I said, body interact was used in group training, not as individual training tool. So we could not track the single students. So this system will, let's say, allowed us to point out some deficiency in the knowledge of the students and in the clinical reasoning of the students. As you can see here, for example, only 45% of the the treatment field was performed correctly by all the court that did the training. So this was a tool that allowed the trainer, the professor, to reinforce some concept that probably would have been missed until the exam. So we also take advantage of some other options. So, for example, the Italian Society launched an initiative for, and designed narrative cases, so clinical cases, but more narrative and not using avatars. And not evaluation, evolution of the illness. So it was made available for all the university that wanted to use the system. We also designed some very narrative cases using our LMS system, so the Moodle system. So, and this was done in a very, short period of time. Another solution that we decided to include in our curriculum was Dr. Sim, which was, less, I would say, the level of fidelity was much less, but compared with others, but gave us the chance to achieve important learning objective. And all these tools were completed, let's say, by some kind of a distance debriefing, very similar to what my colleague who previous talked or have already described. We also we also decide to include more, I would say, lighter solution for, to train specific skills, such as this e-murmur for the auscultation, for example, or touch surgery for the clinical reasoning of surgery procedures. And we complete this set of virtual training with what we call the SP at distance. So we use our actors. We actually recruited also actors at, suddenly, and we designed session where 5 people were connected using Google Meet. One was the simulated patient, one, for example, was the clinical tutor, and then the 2 or 3 students. And then the 3 of the 5 get, silenced and hidden. Meanwhile, the simulated patient was interviewed by the students. And then the debriefing and the critical reflection was conducted in a kind of a plenary mode. So this is it's a summary of what we did during the lockdown. And then I would like to share with you some reflection of what we did. And these are based by the interview that we did to the students and who participated to all the session, and to the faculty members as well. So I grouped these reflection in 2 main categories. Let's say the challenge that we had to face, and the countermeasures or the strategy that we that we applied. So first of all, I think one of the major challenge, at least for me especially, and for the simulation center, and the entire medical school, was I said the scarce familiarity, but probably the right word is the no familiarity with at distance or virtual simulation before this COVID time. So we took a lot of time to get the professor, the tutors, able to use the softwares and all the capabilities, able use all the capabilities. Yes. So what was the countermeasure? We, as a simulation center, we offer a strong support to them, and we tried to reduce the impact of this novelty and these novel tools. So another challenge was the different level of internet facilities. So comparing faculty and students. So we were not aware about what the students had at their own. So based on that, we decide, and this was the reason why we offer this set of different software solution, to include either light and, I would say, heavy options in order to, let's say, achieve and to reach all students. So let's say we balanced the fidelity with the, you know, the level of connection required to achieve to use this software at distance in a proper manner. Another challenge that we also noted was that the whole, I mean, converting especially the internship, the practical activity that normally the students did in the ward, in a clinical setting, so converting this in a virtual internship or practical patient examination, increased the workload of the faculty. Because of course they had to dedicate, I mean, more hours to the training, and also we hadn't, except Body Interact, any other pre-designed scenarios. So the faculty had to develop suddenly new scenarios and design the training simulation in a very short time. So once again, we preferred to combine either the pre-developed and the ad hoc designed. And that's all of, I mean, what I would like to share with you about what we did. Thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you so much, Professor Pierre Luigi. It was an enormous pleasure, and particularly to understand that a very important point of the challenges that exist whenever we have to prepare the faculty to embrace this type of technology. Although technology can be very good, obviously there's always other challenges that we have, and one of them is obviously getting all the faculty engaged to use the technology. But also I would like to thank you as well for presenting the benefits on the individual tracking for students for Body Interact, and the opportunity that gave having your students at home. So that was also very good among obviously all the rest of the experience. So thank you once again for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I would like to remind the audience, if there is any questions that would like to see answered, to use the chat box to locate the questions, and then we will track and answer and ask the questions at the end. And for now, I will pass the word to Dr. Sharia, joining us from Mount Sinai Medicine School in the US. So thank you very much, Dr. Sharia, for joining us today and sharing your experience with your particular program, that I'm pretty sure you will tell us more about it, so everyone will also understand. Thank you so much, and I'll pass the word to you. Reminding you that you have to unmute. Thank you. Dr. Sharia, I don't know if you have to unmute.
Yes, I am.
There you go. There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to take this opportunity to present the Northeast Regional Alliance NeuroMed Prep Program, of which I'm the administrator for. I just wanted to do my disclaimers. This is a grant that's funded entity for the last 13 years from the Health Resources Services Administration. The grant number is mentioned. And this is the viewpoints of the Alliance, which I will speak more about. And even though the funding is coming from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, also HRSA, this is not their perspective. This is solely that of our program. I wanted to share a little bit about our objectives, being that an overview of our Northeast Regional Alliance, abbreviated NERA, MedPrep HCOP Academy program. And then to follow up with how the COVID pandemic and how we had the opportunity to pivot to the Body Interact software. And then to enhance that by giving some student perspectives based on 2 protocols. One thing we did was to do an evaluation, and also I had the opportunity of having them give oral feedback. So just a brief overview of the Northeast Regional Alliance MedPrep HCOP Academy program. Our motto is to educate, enrich, empower our students. So this is an alliance built from the Center for Multicultural Community Affairs at the Icahn School of Medicine, Office for Diversity and Inclusion. It also encompasses the Columbia University Vagelos College of Physicians and Surgeons, the Rutgers, New Jersey Medical School, as well as the Manhattan Staten Island Area Health Education Center. So therefore we have 3 medical schools and 1 community-based organization coming together for the better good to basically host and encourage health careers preparation for our underrepresented students who are both economically or educationally disadvantaged, with the goal of increasing the competitiveness for medical school. The vision of the NERA program is to increase the diversity of physician workforce in order to better address the healthcare needs of our nation. And again, we're based in the US. So this is just a glimpse of who we are. This is a picture of some of our graduates from the program. We do a lot of outreach and engagement with our students. We provide a lot of coaching, mentorship, and advisement. As it's known in our population that there's a lot of health professions disparities, and therefore we're trying to bridge that gap. So our particular focus is on minority students, Black and Brown, to basically break that narrative so that we'll increase them in the health professions field as they move forward. This is a copy of our geographic service area, just so that you have an idea. Columbia University is located in Washington Heights. This is in New York City. Manhattan, Staten Island, AHEC is also in Manhattan, Icahn School of Medicine, and then over across in New Jersey and Newark is Rutgers, New Jersey Medical School. So we're encompassing several areas geographically, and our program usually is an in-person program where we engage our students on several different arms, one of which is the Manhattan Staten Island AHEC. So each of our partners have different strengths to which they're providing their expertise. So the Area Health Education Center provides the resource of our recruitment arm, as well as our coaching, mentorship, and advisement, and also our network layer, also providing high school programs. The Columbia Vagelos College of Physicians and Surgeons is a medical school that provides high school programming, and the level 1 program is science enrichment for our cohorts of students. And the level 3 program provides research experiences for our students who are participating in the summer. The Rutgers, New Jersey Medical provides the level 1 program of the science enrichment, level 2 programming of the MCAT prep, which is the preparation exams that the students here have to take in the United States to participate in order to apply for medical school. And then the level 3, and at the end of the level 2 program, we usually provided a clinical experience for our students on Friday. So Monday through Thursday, they're in didactic courses, and on Friday, they usually have an in-person clinical experience in a community health setting, and which was also presented an issue for us as the COVID pandemic was looming. The level 3 is our research level program, where we offer in-person lab contact in various research labs across all 3 of our medical schools during the summer programs. The Icahn School of Medicine provides junior high as well as high school programming. The level 2, which is the MCAT prep with the clinical placement on Fridays, and also the level 3 research component, which is normally the encounter for the full week of Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. So we had a big task on our hands to basically fill a lot of contact hours, and how exactly we were going to achieve this, it was daunting. We had no idea. The issue being because we had so many students that we were engaging. And for this summer, we wanted to see exactly how we were going to shift everything over. So just a brief overview. Our program, we've engaged already 930 students in our NERA MedPrep pipeline. 444 have already graduated. We have had the fortune of having 262 students to date accepted to medical school, and 107 accepted to graduate level programs. 10 students have been accepted to post-baccalaureate programs, and 45 of which have done a dual degree, meaning that they've gone on to do a master's level program and then continued on to complete their medical degree. There are 11 students that have been accepted to PhD programs, and from our graduates that have participated in medical school, to date, we have 116 students that have completed NERA, that has participated and completed medical school and got on to residency programs. So with everything going on, we had 3 medical schools located in the geographic areas that I've already noted. But then the daunting task of, if we're doing an in-person engagement all these years for the last 12 years, how are we going to shift gears? We're not able to participate and to have students engage in clinical experiences, being mindful of the fact that during this time, New York and New Jersey were the hotbed of the pandemic globally, not just here for the United States as well as globally. So we could not have our students come out, neither could we. So therefore, shifting gears to actually have something where everyone could stay in their various locations, whether it be in their dormitory or in their home of choice or with other family members, was something that we needed to tackle. Therefore, as the Alliance, we vetted several software entities to see which one is best suited for our program to structure it. I needed to mention also that the students that we engage are high school, junior high, high school, and all college level students. So they're on the cusp of going on to medical school. So this kind of engagement is what's absolutely necessary for them. So I engaged with Body Interact, and we decided to move forward, and we onboarded to incorporate a medical facilitator, Dr. Lafluzali Kalani, who is AKA Dr. Levo, to encounter our students in 2-hour blocks of time for each session. So the students were given access to each case 2 days before each scheduled session, and they were provided with learning objectives for them to go on and do guided questions as well. So the cases were accessible to them several weeks after, and all sessions were recorded, and a resource lab was basically created for them to use as a source of reference when they're re-engaging the system. So I thought it would be helpful to provide some of our students' perspective, and to say also that this was not a mandatory evaluation for our students. And as such, we use an email collector, basically with tracking capabilities, as well as we just provided a link anonymously. The final count was 94 students, which is 64% of the students that were surveyed participated, which is 66.2%. So some questions that they responded to was, what attracts you most to Body Interact? 91% said the scenario content, which is equivalent to 82 students response. 68% said possibility to study anywhere and anytime. And for us, that was critical, especially during the global pandemic, because we thought, how could we do this in-person clinical experience? With everything going on, persons were mandated to stay in their home or wherever they were, isolated. So it was daunting. So this was even better than we could have imagined. So 63% said the design and layout, 57% said feedback about my performance, and also the safe learning environment, meaning that they weren't compromised trying to go out or being forced to. So another question that was posed to them was, do you believe virtual patients are a good tool for your training? 97% of them said yes. Another question asked was, what benefits you to the software offering? They said basically the 89% said the improvement of clinical reasoning. And it also 80% said the development of my decision-making strategies. 67% say knowledge retention. 62% said the identification of learning gaps. So they were facilitated by MD, and therefore it was a learning opportunity at each session. Another question posed was, how useful is the feedback provided at the end of each clinical scenario? The responses, 47% said very useful, 40% said useful, 12% said somewhat useful. Another ask is, at close to the end of our summer programs, we wanted to see exactly how this program landed with our students, and that was also a part of the evaluation. So the question poses, is our students, if we could invest, what should be some of the rationale we could use? 80% said the possibility to be used anytime and anywhere. 73% said you could basically have it dynamic and it's free flowing. 66% said the improvement of our knowledge retention. So in addition to just the responses that we had from our students, I wanted to provide you with also the opportunity to hear from them. And so I requested of them a 1-minute video, and I'm just going to share just a few responses so you can hear.
Hi, my name is Chantal Sosa. I am a rising senior at Wesleyan University, and this year I participated in NERA Level 2. In addition to doing the MCAT prep, I was able to do the Body Interact clinical courses, and I think the software was absolutely great. One of the things I will say is I had hoped that the patient avatars would be a little more representative of a wider range of patients, ethnicity-wise, and I also was hoping that some of the interactions you'd be able to do more. For example, with the ultrasound, if you could actually physically move the ultrasound monitor around, or have the patients be able to communicate a bit more as feedback as the simulation progressed. But overall, I think that the simulations paired extremely well with Dr. Lugo's instructions, and I feel like I really got a head start on my M3 clinical year would have been like.
So another response came from Rebecca, and I just wanted to share that as well. Ooh.
Hi, my name is Adil Hossain, and I'm a level 2 student at NERA Mount Sinai. My experience with the Body Interact seminars this year has been one of my favorite things of the program. Especially during the first half, it was really refreshing to take a break from the MCAT prep and learn about medicine as it will be when we're actually in the field. It was also really motivating because for me it reminded me of why I loved medicine so much and what medicine was actually about, instead of just the basic sciences like organic and biochem, and more about treating patients. I also really enjoyed the variety of case studies, and it was really interesting to work with my peers to problem solve and treat the virtual patient. One of my favorite case studies was the one on sepsis, particularly because it's so common and it's also what happened to my grandmother. So overall, I'm really glad that I had the Body Interact experience, and I'm very grateful since I couldn't physically be in a clinical setting this year.
So I'll try one more time to play.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Masonette. I just completed year 3, level 2 of NERA, and while this summer I got the chance to do the Body Interact sessions, and I found them to be amazing and super useful and overall very interesting. These are things that I don't personally get the chance to do often, and even though it was a simulation, it was very helpful to me in seeing different cases and learning about different techniques and protocols and illnesses of all kinds. And it was particularly useful because when you're shadowing, you usually only get one type of specialty at a time, or unless you're doing multiple. But here it was, we got different cases for all different kinds. We got like surgeries and internal medicine, and I think it was amazing, and it was a great way to give us an inside look of different specialties overall. And so I just want to thank the NARA team and Dr. Livo for this awesome opportunity. And if I had the chance to do it again, I definitely would. I think Dr. Livo was absolutely amazing in explaining all these different things to us, and she was very patient with us because we didn't know too much. And she really did a great job in informing us very well. So thank you so much. I had an amazing summer.
So in my closing, I just wanted to say that we did have the opportunity to engage further. So we're still using the Body Interact software with our students now on a weekly basis as a cohort. So it's something that we are continuing post our summer engagement, and we are getting great responses from our students. We continue to record each session and have it as a resource opportunity for the students who are not able to make the session to still use it and still be able to actively participate. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharia. Again, I am, absolutely amazed with so many different experiences and all the feedback from your students and your availability to share those with us as well, because that definitely help, understanding the needs and how this is important for them to enhance their experience. So thank you very much. Without further delay, I will pass the word to Professor Patat Sagareshvili and Professor Nino Gekko kids from Georgia. So thank you very much both for joining us tonight in Portugal.
Thank you so much. Thank you to SSH and Take the Win Body Interact for this opportunity and invitation to be part of this webinar. And in my presentation, I will be focusing on our institutional experience from faculty and academic perspective. And first of all, we would like to declare a conflict of interest. And I will start my presentation with the moment when the pandemics and the lockdown in Georgia started. And basically, there was, in March, we have almost from 2 to 3 weeks, as you can see on the slide, period after the suspension of educational process and the total strict quarantine due to the state of emergency in Tbilisi, in Georgia. So we have quite a short time to adjust and refocus and strengthen our distance learning opportunities. And in this situation, the challenges that we were facing was how to support the program and the educational process in a new reality, and especially in the all stages of our educational program, basic, clinical, and clerkship stages. And the first thing that we started with, we started thinking about answering the question where we stand and what we already have, which could be used to support and strengthen this new reality. So what we had already experience of implementing virtual patient-based cases in PBL, and it was in the Open Labyrinth 3 system that could be used in the remote modality. And also we already have cooperation and access to Body Interact scenarios, virtual patient cases. We were also in the moment where we were part of the pilot application of the clinical reasoning simulator, practicum script simulator, that could be used remotely in this situation. And of course, we have Moodle and the Turnitin programs. I would start, and I will go a little bit earlier to this moment, and I would like to give the scene what was happening before the COVID period, and with a special focus on the clinical skills and clinical reasoning development and strengthening these constructs in the educational program. So basically, we have the team working group, working on clinical skills educational program and its development. And in 2017, the group was enriched, and the participants and the staff of this team was widened, and in the very moment the standardized patient modality was introduced in the educational program, which was supported by staff trainings, by quality assurance department and medical education center of our university. And the very next year, in 2018, the survey and the evaluation by quality assurance service showed the benefit of these steps, especially in the physical examination skills, history taking skills, and writing patient note skills in the students. And now I would like to emphasize this special body interact experience and body interact simulation experience in our university. Basically, the journey of cooperation with body interact simulation started from the moment of AME 2017 conference, when we were engaged in firstly we were engaged with this simulation. And what is interesting, that the structure and the features of the simulation in that moment was very interesting and attractive. For example, this was a real life pressure when there was a time limitation in the simulation that was quite interesting. The structure, the feedback opportunities and modalities, and the timeline reporting feature was very interesting, that could give and is giving the good basis for the debriefing. So we decided in 2018 to start and implement and pilot basically in our educational program body interact simulation. And we started with face-to-face modality. And basically we started with 5 teacher accounts and 21 cases. And what is interesting, that we were also thinking that it could be useful for CPD purposes as well. So we chose the advanced cases as well in this initial 21 cases package. And also basic cases, which could be a good starting point to get acquainted with this resource. Of course, the technical support was established, and the series of the training staff online, local and international trainings was provided. And we started with the course Principles of Clinical Diagnosis, and we piloted body interact implementation and enriching of this course in 2 modules, musculoskeletal and cardiovascular system. This piloting basically was very beneficial, and the after this exposure, the focus group were held, and the feedback from students was that it was very helpful to increase their confidence in clinical settings. Basically, this course is in the basic medical and clinical sciences stage, and this course helped them, as they reported, to feel confident and comfortable when they came into the clinical settings. Also, the interesting experience was that in this piloting stage, that the approach was that they managed the patient overall well, if we consider from the patient outcomes, and the simulation was ended successfully. But what was interesting, that the deliberate reasoning was lacking in this case, because they were using this intervention medication options successfully, but without strong justification of their reasoning, how they decided to come to this decision. And so this debriefing sessions was quite helpful to address and respond to this aspect of the experience. In 2019, the decision was made that we should widen implementation and using of body interact cases in our educational program. We started with the mapping of intended learning outcomes of the cases with our program through educational stages and the courses, and all this mapping stage resulted in the exact selection of the cases, of variety of difficulties and the settings, emergency and subspecialties. And the decision was to increase the number of cases to 41 cases. And also the number of the courses which were enriched by this resource and virtual scenarios experience have increased. In 9 modules of principles of clinical diagnosis, and also 2 courses, clinical skills 5, which is basically the starting point and introduction to the clinical stage, and clinical skills 6, which is introduction to the clerkship stage. So Body Interact was implemented in these stages in 2019. And here, what happened in the era of COVID-19 in March 2020? We were kindly offered and activated the LMS BI Studio, because before that we were using in the face-to-face modality. Teacher accounts were created, and 733 students' accounts were involved in this platform. Here, I would like to mention that we are not big university. In total, we have 1,000 students. So all students except first and final years of education were basically involved in using these body interact simulations. The series of staff trainings continued to use BI Studio in remote session. And after that, the implementation and remote sessions were implemented and started in this. What was interesting, I would like to outline this connectivity and zone time issues, especially for those our students who were locked down in India and Nigeria. So this difference caused a little bit confusion initially while remote sessions, though because we were adjusting 2-hour sessions and we were using it in cooperation with the video conferencing system Zoom, and so we have allocated timings for the body interact sessions. And the solution was just to prolong access to the cases, to the students, 8-10 hours instead of 2 hours. So the sessions were open to them. So it supported and solved this challenge easily. And also in 2020, in addition to principles of clinical diagnosis and 3 courses, Body Interact was implemented in clinical rotations as well. So clinical rotations were also supported and strengthened with this simulation. So in the end, I would like to mention that take-home message is that Body Interact strongly supports clinical reasoning decision-making skills in a safe environment. And of course, our experience showed that it could be implemented similarly successfully in various modalities, face-to-face, distance, blended. And also, students' readiness and confidence for clinical rotation is improving by using Body Interact simulations. So thank you for your attention, and if there will be question or discussion, that myself or my colleague Nino would be ready to respond, discuss the issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much again for sharing your experience and the beauty of, you know, accommodating in different years with different needs, Body Interact, and the way that it was possible to respond to your needs in those different years since you have obviously start using Body Interact. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much all. I know that we are almost running out of time, so I do apologize for this, but I believe that has been such a fruitful session, that we have learned so much from different experience in different countries, in different institutions, that I believe that overall we will be, you know, taking home messages that will be helpful in our daily lives from, you know, now on as well, taking experiences from others. Silverio, I'll pass the word to you. I'm not sure if
You are
if,
absolutely right. As
thank you.
expected, I learned a lot. Thank you very much for all the speakers that shared this very great experience and the different impacts that Body Interact also makes all over the world. For example, from Professor Roberto Di Ponte, I'm very happy to see that the future, they also see the traditional training with the Body Interact as a recommendation from the study. Regarding the conclusions that share with us, the urgency, the novelty, and the success were all addressed. The Professor Ileana Escudero, I'm very happy because before COVID, you don't have any simulation in your institution, and now you have it. And this is a very good conquest from your side. I appreciate also the way that you migrate also to the virtual teaching. I appreciate also the utility that is having Body Interact also talking Spanish, and Spanish from Latin America. That also makes all the difference. I appreciate also that you share with us the dedication from the students and also the impact, many hours that the students also allocate because it's a software that is immersive. Regarding the comment that you made regarding the synchronic makes sense because the teacher needs to be in the middle of the educational process and needs to be also making the debriefing part with the student. Regarding Professor Pierre, Luigi, Ingratia, it's very good to know that Body Interact allows to evaluate the clinical reasoning of the students, tracking the students, and congratulations the way that you manage, combining different ways, making in the chat box I noticed a word that is coalition, and this is the truth. Regarding Dr. Sharia, I like very much your project. I'm amazed, but I like also a comment that the gentleman gives you that talks also about the emotional part of the Body Interact, because the simulation is also emotion. And if you see, the gentleman treat the patient by their name and also make the connection between the case of sepsis, that the sepsis also appeared to my grandmother. And this emotional part are also inside the Body Interact. Regarding the Professor Sagareshvili and Professor Nino, thank you very much. For us, it's also very good to know that the Body Interact also improves the confidence. The learning management system that we have built on the Body Interact, it's also a benefit doing the remote sessions in the COVID area. We also appreciate the way that you have explained how to pilot, how to implement, and also how to achieve the excellence with the learners. So I believe that was a very, very good moment for a very good learning experience to all of us. We would like also to invite you, if you don't know, we have a specific website that you can try for free. There are many, many, many clinical scenarios that are related to the COVID-19 simulation in different areas, and we would like to invite you. And Maria, I'm very happy. I'm very happy
Thank
also
you.
to all the speakers that have been educating us, giving a really good learning experience for all of these attendees. And thank you very much once again also for the attendees.
Thank you very much. And once again, I'm really sorry that we wouldn't have time for the questions as 90 minutes went so fast. I would like to thank also our guest speakers for their time and willingness to share their experiences. And also thank you to Society of Simulation in Healthcare for the opportunity of having obviously these roundtables where we can share this experience. So this record will be available for the next days. So we will be able to obviously access again and learn and share among our people. So thank you again. I wish all the very best success to all of you in your institutions, and thank you very much for your time today.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.